I'm totally snowed in, so I thought I'm going to take this time and just share with you that we are stewards of the mysteries of God. Jesus came and he brought a whole new day. He didn't come to remove the old, he came to fulfill the old. In other words, he came and he said, you cannot put a new cloth on an old garment. You will tear both. You cannot try and fix the old with the new, but you cannot throw the old away, because the old was the schoolmaster unto Christ. This started when God called Abraham. Abraham, against hope, he believed in hope. He believed in what God told him. He believed it so much that he was willing to offer his only begotten son. Listen, he had two sons. And this is a mystery that's all through the Bible. Two sons. The first Adam missed it. The second Adam became the last Adam. The second man became the last Adam. There can never be an Adam again. So we are not in Adam. We are in Christ. But Abraham believed God and he sacrificed his only begotten son. And Abraham, against hope, believed in hope. So before Abraham, it was a world of no hope. Job said, there's no hope for a man. There is just no hope, because when Adam fell, God said to him, from dust you are, to dust you go. Job says, we all die and we go down to the pit. But something changed when Abraham started believing. And amazingly, Jesus came and he said in Matthew 22:32, he says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am the God of the living, not of the dead. What? Abraham started a whole new world. And everybody that comes from Abraham, God says, this is the line of life. So when Jesus died, he went back and he preached to everybody that was disobedient during the flood and after the flood. But in Abraham, he sees that as life. So we know the story of Lazarus. When Lazarus went down, and the rich man, he was found in a place where he was literally awaiting hell. And on the other side of the big divide was Abraham, and Lazarus was on the bosom of Abraham. God saw them as living and the others as dead. This is why he went down and he preached to the dead. For this cause was the gospel preached to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit. The gospel was preached to Abraham, the gospel was preached to Moses, and the gospel was preached to everybody that missed it. Otherwise, God would not be a fair God. So God is the ultimate victor in any way. And on the cross, he dealt with Satan. He says, for this purpose, the Son of God was manifest to destroy the works of the evil one. What was the works of the evil one? He brought death, he brought sin, he brought destruction. But Jesus Christ came to give us that life again. But this life is not just we are born again and it's good news, our souls can be saved. When Paul preached, he says, Jesus Christ abolished death and brought life and immortality through the gospel. So the gospel is literally life and immortality. But we do not understand these mysteries, because the gospel is a mystery. The kingdom is a mystery. But all these mysteries were hidden in the ages that was before. And only in Christ, these mysteries started being revealed. The first mystery was Christ. He says, great is the mystery of godliness. God manifested in the flesh. This is the first key that opened. And 1 John says, we saw this life. We handled the word of life. Now, please, Isaiah prophesied and it says, so shall my word be. It shall do what it sent forth, as the rain and the snow. So shall my word be. It will do what it sent forth. So what God did, the word that was in the beginning became flesh to bring us right into the purposes of God and back to God's original plan, not to Adam, to God's original plan. Adam missed it. We're not going back to Adam. We are going back to what God has for us right from the beginning. But these are all mysteries that was hid in the old. So this is why we cannot just annul the old. We cannot just throw away the old. We have to start understanding the old. Now Moses, because they did not take the commands, then the law was added. But the law was a schoolmaster to Christ. It was a shadow of the heavenly things. It was a shadow of the good things to come. Everything in that tabernacle, it was the tabernacle of testimony. It was all about Christ. There was 3 entrances: the gate, the door, the veil. And this was Israel, Christ, and then the holies of holies. That was his body torn up for us, because it was a battle for seed. And he literally started giving his body, himself like it. There was an outer court, an inner court, and then a holy of holies. Jesus first gave his body, then he gave his soul, and then he gave his spirit. So he put his spirit within us. That makes us the stewards of the mysteries of God. He starts with our spirits. Our souls are not saved. He says the end of your faith is the salvation of your soul. We have to run our race because we are saved by the faith of Christ. And the end of our faith is the salvation of our souls. It starts with our spirit, then our souls, then our bodies. And the final mystery is our body. And this is all revealed, that the end is always determined from the beginning. So right in Genesis 1, God revealed that his end will be raised. And this, when the first world was destroyed, the first thing that happened, the ark could not land before the dove found a landing. Now, the dove found a landing in the body because there was a battle for seed. And when Jesus came, he said to John, he said, to him you see the Spirit come and stay. That was the purpose of the second world. The purpose of the third world is for this seed that is now poured inside of us, the Spirit that is poured inside of us. It is also a fire. It keeps us on the road because the fire takes away the wood, the hay, and the stubble, so we will build properly. So we have the Spirit inside of us, guiding us onward to the final rest and our final purpose in God. This is so important to know these things. And it's only deception and ignorance that will take you and keep you from such big promises, because he says these promises are kept in heaven for us. This glory, it's a mystery. Christ in us, the hope of glory. Now, all of this was hidden in the law. The law was the schoolmaster. He says, in the fullness of time, God sent forth his son, born of a woman, born under the law. Mary was a woman and the law was a woman. It had to come through that line because that was the earthly seed line of Abraham. But he was carrying the promise of Abraham. You see, there is, like in day 2, in the creation week, water was separated from water. And it is just like water is separated from water. And it went through the line, through the generation history in 2 lines. And when we come to Christ, we go directly to Abraham. We don't go through the seed line. This is why you need to understand times and seasons and generations. Jesus had to come through Israel. And then the first thing you find is the sacrifice altar. This is where the sacrifice was made. They should have known it because he came to his own and his own received him not. When he was sacrificed, they used Rome to kill him, and they didn't want to be contaminated because they wanted to go on with the system. On the other side of the city, there were 300,000 lambs, more or less, slaughtered, while the lamb that takes away the sins of the world was crucified because of their doing. He came to his own received him not. They allied with Rome, which was the final pieces of the kingdoms of the world. There were 4 kingdoms of the world. It started Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome. So Isaiah prophesied to them, it's for your good, you're going to be taken to Babylon, because that marked the end of this taking away of the system, and the Jews should have known it. But Ezekiel was in the captivity. And God said to him, go measure the temple. And the temple was being broken up. And you can literally read it, Hebrews 8, Hebrews 9, and then Revelation 13, the breaking up of the temple. God was not happy with it, because when he came, he turned to them and he said, you serpent seed, you vipers. They were totally infiltrated with Satan's seed. Ezekiel, when he started measuring the temple, he said, it's door upon door upon door. And the temple only has 3 doors. They opened up to everything that was wicked and vile. But then he comes in Ezekiel 47, and he says, now the river comes through the door. And this was Jesus Christ. We know he was the door. And heaven's open, but Jesus is the door. And through the door came the river. And it was ankle deep, knee deep, thigh deep, and shoulder deep. And this is actually a revelation of the ages since the revelation and the mystery of Christ being revealed, because he was the door. And this is the road of the kingdom, ankle deep, knee deep, thigh deep, shoulder deep. As time goes, revelation grows.